What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Dent Digest Live Show. And, every week I seem to mute Manny. So tonight, Manny's really muted. He's on pause tonight. So, anyway, hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Bit crazy still here. The weather's a little weird. We've got one day it's 70 degrees, the next day it's 50 degrees. We came out the other day and it was legitimately like frozen cars. I'm like, what is going on? I know it's November, but geez. So, we got James Bernard. Listen to me. Feel good. I'm laying in bed with James Bernard and his wife watching the Dent Digest. So it's a good night here. I do have to put out there, Corey Kleinfeld's dad passed away, so I'm very sorry about that. I know he's pretty upset about it. Terrible things. But I'm sorry, Corey, for your loss. And we've got Matt Moore's thing coming up on the 13th, the tech meetup, which it seems like a lot of people are going to. It looks like it should be a really good event, and his shop is freaking amazing. You've also got the Dream event coming up. Looks pretty good. And we got MTE coming. I'm actually really, really excited to see my Dent family. I feel like I've, been missing my boys. Just totally missing them. Look, James Bernard's by himself. Come on, James. What's going on, man? Starting to upset my day. But I'm going to have to bring our guest on because Manny's running behind. But we're going to get Mr. Matt Boyette on. What's up, Matt?
What's going on, guys? How's everybody?
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Although I have not eaten dinner yet. I went straight from work straight to here.
It's 9 o'clock, man.
That's all right.
What's going on?
Oh, man. Burning it at both ends, I guess.
That's what we do, right? It's a weird time of year,
Yeah.
But I said, like, my buddy was like, hey, what do you want to grab something to eat? And it was 2 nights ago. And I was like, man, I would love to, but I got to work. And he's like, bro, it's like November. You're usually slowing down. And I was like, bro, it's COVID times, bro. Anything goes right now. Like, everything's off the books. It's like starting a new business today.
Yeah.
So I've got my weekly joke. So we're going to get this thing going. My kid picked it out. It's actually a pretty good one.
All right.
So, Matt, I hope you can get this. Andy got it last week. I have not mailed your package out yet, Andy, but it will be coming.
How old is your kid?
She is 7.
All right.
And we started doing this. She wanted to do it. She's like, can I do a joke for your show? And I was like, sure. And this was a couple months ago. And then, she does chores around the house. We give her like little allowances and stuff. She does, takes the trash out, whatever she needs to do. And she comes home one day and she's like, Daddy, look what I bought. I'm like, what's that? She bought this whole box full of these little joke cards for the show. She's like, I got this for the show. Which I thought was pretty cool. I'm like, she's 7 years old.
Yeah.
So here's the joke. And I hope you guys can figure it out. What did the pen say to the pencil? So what did the pen say to the pencil? I'll let you guys figure this out.
The pen. It's got to be something about lead. I'm thinking.
You would think metal, wouldn't you? You would think metal.
Oh, gosh. What did the pen? I don't know.
You don't know? Anybody in the chat know? Come on, guys. Come on. So what did the pen say to the pencil? Let it run one more minute. What's up to all the guys? Josh, Jeff, James, Alan, Encore. What's going on, guys? So the answer to this week's show, this week's joke of the show. So what did the pen say to the pencil? So what's your point? That's what we're doing this week. That was a good one.
Gosh.
That was a good one.
Did anybody win anything here?
Nope.
Look like it.
We got a bunch of Dent guys in here. It's tough.
I don't think anyone got the point.
So let's talk about you a little bit. How's business going?
It's going good, man. Let's see. Uh, Man, I mean, it's just a weird time in the industry. I mean, as far as the car industry, it's the weirdest I've ever seen. I'm having lots of conversations with salesmen and managers just about, you know, I've been doing this a long time, and this is the weirdest I've ever seen it. Like, um, but trying to weather those storms in different ways. You got to get creative with them.
Pivot.
But yeah, pivot. Um, but it's been good, and I mean that's the challenge, right? Is like, I mean, if it's um what's it say? What's that saying about a I don't know. It's just cool to be challenged in your business and have to find unique ways to overcome those challenges. So I mean that's where
100%.
we're at. I think that's where.
It's perfect example me. I mean, I've talked to you a million times. I'm like, I found the perfect spot. I think I'm gonna get it. And then we'll talk like 2 weeks later, and you're like, did you get in? No. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's been one thing after the other. So it's been a road, so
What's interesting this month, is we do wholesale and retail, and when our wholesale was down, our retail was up, and we still kind of stayed pretty even keel, but one compensated the other. So um, it's pretty interesting to observe those conditions and how they pan out.
and a lot is going on, man. Like we're having huge consolidators come in and buy all the body shops. We had Caliber come in and Gerber come in, and they bought all these guys up. And now there's two other big heavy hitters in the area that are buying all these small guys up, and it's just crazy. It's almost scary that these bigger companies are coming in and buying them. One of the companies that bought all these body shops in my area, I think they bought 6 or 7 of them in this round. They bought 150 small glass companies all over the country
Mhm.
and held them for 1 year and then sold them to Safelight. So, crazy things. Look at Eddie Evans in here telling me I'm the best in the business, but he's not saying that I broke a window on his 50s Chevy pickup a couple weeks ago. So,
Oh my gosh.
it happens. I'm sorry, Eddie,
Yeah.
but
Well,
what it happens. It
yeah.
happens.
Hopefully it happens less and less. I hate
Yes.
breaking a window. That's like crushing when that happens,
Yes.
but it does.
So I want to get into a little bit of, obviously we're here talking about some of your new tools that you dropped, you know, uh, a couple weeks. Yes.
Yeah,
Last
that
week.
was Friday.
So let's get into the Dent Slayer a little bit, how that all came about. And if you guys don't know Matt, I've had him on here a couple different times, and I've said this before. Matt is a very detail oriented person and is very creative with different ideas. Um, so let's kind of get into the Slayer a little bit and kind of see how that came about, what you were trying to bring. And you've got some other stuff that just kind of dropped that seems like a lot of guys really like. So let's get into the Slayer a little bit and see what you got going on.
Yeah, so the Dent Slayer, um, the original Dent Slayer, that I modeled these off of was handed to me the first day I went on my own fixing dents. I was trained with a local company, and I contacted the owner, just trying to find, some of the origins of that tool. And he told me he bent it on a vise in his garage and grinded the tip. And he wasn't a dent guy. He was just a guy um, who started this PDR company as a a side hustle for him, and hired me, brought us on. We had about 10 technicians at the time. This was back in '98, and they were just making tools themselves, just bending metal the way that they thought it needed to be bent in different various
It's
ways.
kind of
So
like the old Dent Wizard tools, how some of them were like just bent pieces of metal. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Absolutely. And there was no real rhyme or reason to it. It's just, let's just see if this works or what this gets around, or as you need it, as the need arises, you have to get to somewhere and you hook it a different way and whatever. So he told me that this was made just in a garage by the owner of the company, not even a dent guy. And so he handed me this tool the day I started PDR, which is March of '98. And I grew to love it, right? And I've used it, I can say honestly, probably every day of my career. I mean, it was one of those tools that I just had to have, just worked perfect. And, I got used to it and it just, did the job. So we had guys come and go in the company and they'd quit. And I always tried to like, hey man, you got that one tool? And no one else had it. It was really weird. I was the only one within my company who had it. Or that I could find who had it. So I just could never find a duplicate of it. And so back in 2000 and I want to say it was 14, back in 2014, I met Bill Hewlett, the prior owner of Pro PDR. And I was actually working up in Minnesota, bought a fat head from him. He came down, he hand delivered it to the job I was at. We were at a Ford dealership up there and he hand delivered it to me and we talked and kind of started a little bit of a relationship. And that following year the end of that season, I came home and I needed to go to Australia to work. But I did not have a suitable tool cart to travel. So this is kind of a long story. I'm just kind of bringing it here.
Hang on one second. Let me get our special guest on here.
My special guest.
Hey, everybody. Here's our special guest. It's Manny.
Yo, what's up, Matt? What's up, Ryan? What's up? It's the Dent Digest Show.
Hey, did you get that ladder or what?
No, I couldn't. I was trying to rush over here for the show to be here on time.
You did great. You did great.
What's up, Matt? How are you?
On? Cool sign, by the way, behind you. I like it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, except so much lighting, it's not dimming out. But
it looks good.
I got kind of. I like working in the dark. I don't know if you like that at your shop too. Like you'll turn off the light, especially like on a white color car. Just you work a lot nicer. And I didn't have like a back light. It was just too dark, and I was just like, maybe if I put that up there, she kind of give it a nice cool backlight, so when I turn off the lights, it's like not crazy dark, because clients will walk in and it's just like, what are you doing here in the dark?
Yes. Yeah. And Manny's caught me a couple times. He's like, you working in the dark? I'm like, yeah. I've got that little neon clock up there that really helps. But
yeah.
But it is nice working. Have you tried it, Matt?
Working in the dark?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I do when the overhead lights, when you're working on a roof, it just washes out cars' roofs really quickly. So I'll turn the lights off but I usually run my light tunnels or something where I have some kind of light, not just complete darkness. I by nature like light. As soon as I get up in the morning, I turn on all the lights in my house. I don't like the dark. So
you scared of the dark, man?
Scared, yeah, I'm scared of the dark, yeah.
Was that like your being grounded when you were a kid? Like you sleep in the dark? It's like, we're gonna shut off the lights.
I don't remember if that was the case, but it very well could
have. Just kidding, man.
Let's get back to Matt's story real quick so we can roll through that. All right? So where were you? Bill Hewlett.
Yeah. So I met Bill Hewlett, and I needed a tool cart to go to Australia, and I couldn't find anything that I wanted to take to Australia to work out of. And so I went in my garage and just, and I made up a tool cart, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here's a tool cart. So I pitched it to Bill, and Bill loved it. And Bill, we had a tool cart, and it was a tool cart that basically was the size of a briefcase. Most tool carts, when guys design a tool cart, they design a tool cart that's to hold tools. Well, the problem with it is when it's not designed to break down or to pack up or to fit in the back of your truck, right? It's just clunky pieces of metal that fit however they fit in the back of your truck or the bottom of your RV or whatever. So I started backwards. I started with basically a briefcase and said, how do I turn this into a tool cart? And made it, reverse engineered it. And so then we had this tool cart that was 19 pounds. It was about 3 inches tall and 19, I forget the exact dimensions, 19 by 16. And the entire tool cart went in it. And you could go to Australia with it. You can fly. I flew all over with it. And it was just a really good tool cart. So anyhow, started my relationship with Bill, and we sold those. They were called the TC5. And they did pretty well as far as I know. And but so then that kind of got the ball rolling with some products with Bill, and we made a few different things. And at some point I pitched Bill this tool, the Dent Slayer tool. And he was like, oh my gosh, let's do it. Let's do it. And I said, Bill, you gotta understand something. This is the only one I have. If this thing gets lost or if it doesn't get back to me, I will be really, really upset. I got to have this tool. So I drew it out, like I stenciled it and had all these. I insured it. I sent it to Bill and made sure he sent it right back to me. And so he was all set for building the tool, but then he ended up selling the company. And I forget exactly the time frame, but he ended up selling the company and the tool never came out. And so I'm like, well, whatever. And then, you know, they consolidated some of their tool line. They scrapped my tool cart. They scrapped my other sissy post I was making. And so everything just kind of whatever. I'm just a dent guy. I'm not a tool builder. Fine with me. So I went back to just my dent pushing stuff. And then
was that kind of upsetting, Matt? Like, did it bump you out, or how did you feel?
It was a little upsetting because just to get out there, it was a little upsetting with Pro PDR because they didn't say anything. They just quit making my tools, and there was no explanation. There was no even squaring up with me on some of that. It was just, it's not available anymore. You're done. I don't know. It's fine. I don't care. It's not. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but that was just kind of how that played out.
Yeah.
So no hard feelings at all. It's just what it was. So
yeah.
But I am at the end of the day, I'm a dent guy. I'm a technician. I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, I know that about myself. So fast forward a little bit to my relationship with A1. So I'm in here and I'm working with this tool and I just love it. And I'm like, man, like I need to send this to A1 and have a duplicate made, because if this thing gets lost, then I'm gonna be mad, you know. So I did the same thing. I traced it all out, so I at least had the blueprints of it, exact copy, you know, and sent it to John and Maria, and I changed it a little bit. I said, hey, can we do this a little bit and change it, blah blah blah. And I'd always been tweaking it throughout the years from the original one that I had to what's in my hand now. And so sent it to John and Maria. And then, you know, John called me back. He's like, Matt, I think you got something here. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's pretty unique. And if you'd be interested, you know, we'd really love to help develop this with you. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I just really sent it to you for a duplicate, but let's do it. And so then that's what started the original Dent Slayer. And this is the short run. This is the exact dimensions that I ran with for my entire career. Other than some of the handle, you know, a few little tweaks, but this is the tool.
I do like this. This part of the handle.
Bro, it's epic. And that's a lot of A1's tools now come with that handle. They're just fantastic in your hand. It's one of my favorite handle designs. But you just get so much drive that way with that handle setup. But so then, you know, the Dent Slayer, and then it kind of merged into the Dent Slayer XL, which is just the longer version of it. But you know, for me, when we did, I didn't just want a longer version of a tool, you know, because a door isn't straight. You know, a door has curve to it, or even a panel has curve to it. And so I wanted something, you know, I'm a former Dent Wizard guy, and most of those tools back there were all just bendable tools. Everything you had, you bent. I mean, nothing was made to be straight. they were made to be bent, and they were kind of trash tools. They weren't designer tools like this. They were, just bend the crap out of it and go and do the job, make the money, and get home. And so, but I was kind of raised on that, just bend the tool to get it where you want. And so a lot of tools now aren't really designed that way, and purposely, I understand that, but I think that's a good part of the industry that we're kind of missing, that we started with, and somehow we got to all stiff, rigid tools, but we need to kind of balance back and get some good bendable stuff back. There's a place for all of them. Yeah. And so that's kind of where this one came from, which was the bendable version, slightly bendable version, where you can put a nice arc in it so that it just slides down the door panel and doesn't disturb the glass or the internals too bad, where you can slide it down really far in a door, because just a long tool doesn't get you down there. You got to be able to bend it. So that's where we came up with the bendable one. And those have been doing great. And I continue to use them every day. And through conversing with other technicians and other people who had them and just feedback what we've got from people, some people were asking for a little bit longer kick on the end. That sometimes it just didn't have enough drive, that you wanted a little bit longer, a little bit extra oomph on some of these doors that have, really, really deep body lines, or, like a Challenger door or something that's really,
it's wider,
really wider. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, we can explore that. And so, well, if we're going to do that, then let's offer a few different length variations. And so that's where this one came from. See how I can find it here. And so this one is, I think we did it a 1/2 inch longer toe than the original one. So it's got a little bit longer toe on it, gets you farther out, and it's shorter.
Is that one coming out in ratchet too? For ratchet?
Yes.
So everything we have here has a ratchet.
Because I think I'm gonna want that small one with the ratchet inside.
Yes, that thing will be insane with a ratchet. If you put this Gorilla Grip on that, oh my gosh, it's gonna have so much drive.
And we talked about this before it came out.
Yes.
And I said to Matt, I love this, because I was like, you really need a shorter one. And he's like, you think? And we were talking back and forth a couple times, and I'm like 12 inches. Give me a little 12-incher. And he sent this, and I like it. But my thing is, sometimes I'm like, I like just a little more. I've been using so much of the Gorilla Grip stuff now. I'm like, make this a ratchet handle, and you'll really get the crazy drive. But what I really liked is the longer foot here.
Yeah.
At the very end. That made a huge difference with this tool.
And usually when you're using that up higher where there's a body line, maybe a protruding body line, where the other ones you're deeper down where you have more glass, or you have more of a brace. So the tighter internals, but the shorter ones, there's a little bit more of a void up there. There's some Subarus or some other, they have that deep right at the top body line where this comes in handy, because it's just got a longer toe on it. You got that short drive, or a shorter, where like you get into some Hondas. There's a lot of cars now. I don't know if this is like
no upper brace.
No upper brace.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh. Like,
this is amazing on the top of a Civic door.
There's a dent technician on payroll somewhere making these cars now. The way that they're making front fenders. I mean, who remembers working on a old Crown Vic front fender that you had to split the seam to fix a dent in the front fender?
And this tool, talking about fenders, this is I use this all the time on fenders.
Absolutely.
And the reason why, a lot of this, you have so much control here when you're pulling down and working that fender.
Oh, I see.
It's got enough kick, because you would think, well, the bottom of this is going to hit the wheel, right? If you're really cranking, but it doesn't, because you have this much space. Yes. So it works awesome on fenders, just trying to get like a Civic fender that has that upper body line that always gets hit. This is fantastic.
Yes. So we we came out with the shorter version here, with the extended toe on it for the upper body lines, and then we came out with the Maria and them, they have the skinny tip tools, and those, I don't think that they get the appreciation that they should.
Yeah.
Those are great tools.
Yes.
They're amazing tools. I never even had some. One of my technicians here brought them in. I'm like, holy crap, where'd you get this? He's like, I got a A1. I'm like, what? Dude, that's like, where's this thing been?
Like for Audis, I think they're perfect because that those Audi belt mold, it doesn't open up too much, and it's just like those skinny ones are just like so nice to just get in there with a tip.
Absolutely, and
even like GM taillight holes, when you pop out that plug, this will fit right in there. And when they sent this over, this tip that is on here, it's not like a lot of the tips that are out there. It is. And I'm biased because I'm friends with Matt, but I've been telling you, Manny, this is the tool you need to get. Because
I saw it today. I hadn't seen it.
Whatever this tip is awesome. So,
and they're not just door tools. I mean, so when you buy a tool, there's a lot of tools out there now that are purpose tools, like let's just say a fender lip plier, right? Like you're only using that for a certain dent, where you have your tools that are just for the one application. These tools, to me, they're meant to be multiple applications. They're great on doors, but they're just as good on fenders. They're just as good on quarters. They're just, use them on hoods, man, as a left and right. So, I just go nuts with these things. I use them everywhere. And with these, the kind of idea is, going back to the skinny tip thing, was keep everything skinny. And that's why we came up with the R4, which I don't have one here currently, but the skinny tip R4, where the entire tip can go inside a 3/8 hole. You don't have to have a tool with a big tip or even a small tip with a big shaft tool, to where everything fits. Everything is super small diameter. It'll go in a hole, and you can soft push a dent out, and you can pull it out, and you can put a nice, bullet tip on it, or even putting extensions. I mean, there's tons of extensions out now. Dentcraft's got tons of extensions. So I think, the 5/16, 18, the original standard tips that we have now are really good, but not getting locked into just one thing. Like, we have to stay versatile, that it's not just 5/16, 18. There's a lot of other things out there that help you do your job better.
Yes.
And so developing some of the 1/4x20 tips, as an old Dent Wizard guy, everything was 1/4x20.
Yeah.
Everything Dent Wizard made in my entire existence with them was 1/4x20 tips, up until the industry decided everything was 5/16. Everything was 1/4x20. I still have a lot of my original Dent Wizard tools that,
and they were reversed. They were the tip had the threads and the stud was on the tool. So it was completely opposite of what we have now. But like,
what do you mean?
Dentcraft. So if you look at the tool,
the end of your tool looked like this. It had the stud on it.
Yeah.
I see.
Yes. The tip had the hole.
Oh, that is crazy.
Yeah. The problem with that is if you dropped your tip, threw your tool on the ground and you dinged up your threads, then you couldn't put it like this. I can just get a new tip, right? For $10.
Makes
$30,
sense.
whatever. Now you're not going to ding up your threads throwing your tool on the ground or dropping it or whatever. So
we don't do that. Who throws their tools on the ground?
If you were a Dent Wizard, you did.
Are you one of those guys?
No, years ago that's what it was. I mean, your tools were. They didn't have these nice fancy plastic tip handle. I mean, they were just stamped out literal pieces of metal, and you just throw them on the ground. As you're running your lawsuit.
Now, does that one come with a tip? Is what Josh Dragos is asking.
I'm not sure. Just to be honest here, we never really covered that. That would be John and Maria's. We came out with this tip, and we came out with the R4 tip. I don't know how they're selling it yet, how they're including it in there. I'll leave that up to them to follow up and answer. I think you should give both. Meaning, of course, I'm biased, but what I'm saying is this tip is a really good pushing tip. You need to have an assortment of 1/4x20 tips. That's the point of this, right? Is that don't just get one tip. Start you another assortment of 1/4x20 tips. Get you some skinny tip tools. There's a lot of good stuff out there that helps do our job better. Dentcraft is making the tips. Dentcraft has the 1/4x20 stuff or the skinny stuff. Talk to some other tip maker people that are pursuing making things too that are.
Yeah, I think VIP makes some stuff.
Yeah. So that's the next wave of things that are coming, I believe. So you'll see more options come available for this, is what I'm saying. But one unique thing that always sticks in my head with these is even with the Gorilla Grip versus one of these. So I do a lot of wholesale work, and you're flying through multiple cars a day, 10 to 20 cars a day. You're going fast. This setup scares me a little bit when I'm going fast, because you're sliding down door frames of cars, and there's a lot of metal here, and it comes in contact with a rail or a upper of a door,
or a belt molding,
and you're in trouble. And so I do really believe in these style handles for that type of application, to where you can slide it in, and you don't have to be as gentle when you're touching the rail of a car or a belt molding, or if you leave it in the car to turn around and get your knockdown and it kind of falls back or whatever, you're not going to bang nothing up. So I prefer these for that type of application. But man, these things, when you put the T handle on this thing with this, it just turns this into another tool. You have a direct drive, pushing style rod now. And you've got lots of twists, So anyhow, it's really good to have the hubbed ones, obviously. But for me, for doing the wholesale stuff, I believe in the rubber gripped handles, just for safety's sake, not dinging up a car more.
I say belt molding because I've been there.
Yeah.
I think it's more about your wrist, guys.
It is.
I'm not gonna lie, Bet. I was watching your video earlier, Matt, when you were doing that Tacoma dent.
Yeah.
You were using the fixed handle one, and I could see how I respect you saying that's your go-to. But I was watching that video, and I was like, someone give that man the ratchet one style instead, because in the beginning I had problems with my wrists. Because you gotta just train those muscles, right? And I was just watching your wrist going like certain way, and I was just like, give that man the ratchet handle one, because I don't know. I feel that you get that sweet spot, and then everything just feels a lot more comfortable. And that's what I said earlier, like respectfully, like I think that for that small version you have out now, I'm going with the ratchet handle for sure, because I can see that how working so many different areas and purposes.
And I agree. And something, just any tool doesn't have to be, when you got a tool that has just more mass to it, a longer length to it, when you lock it in a body line or whatever, and you're pushing, you can also do some of that leveraging too. So you have this dual twist and leverage. So you will lose that with a shorter tool. You'll get the drive, but you'll lose some of that leveraging also. So the Gorilla Grip will, I think, compensate for that, where you can just have just out to here and just tweaking on leverage. But we were talking about this the other day. Who was I talking about? Just about dent guys and injuries and stuff. I mean, this is my 24th year. March next year will be 25 years pushing.
Nice.
I don't have any injuries. I have some normal stuff just for me getting older, but I don't have any. My brother had rotator cuff surgery really early in his career. I know lots of guys have problems with their knees. Lots of guys have problems with their elbows and their joints. And I'm good, man.
That's
like
good.
Pushing that was a Colorado. Pushing that truck dent today. Like
no big deal.
I do that all day, bro. I do want to do it with that longer. I mean, I know it will be easier. One thing about it too, what I really like just about the Gorilla Grip in general is that, you know, if you're in like a deep door where you lose your drive, the more it twists around, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what I like to do is I'll put my tool in the door and I'll kind of lock it to where it's just touching the dent, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll take the handle and reset it back where I want to be pushing from.
Yeah.
And now you're just starting from right there at full leverage. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Much more drive where you're not just wrapping it around, you know, like a fixed handle is.
Yeah.
Now Maria's saying the tip is sold separately.
Makes sense. I mean, because you have
the link.
Because you have options. You know, you could pick out your favorite tip and, you know, just match it.
Absolutely.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Matt, do you ever use your ratchet in reverse? So, you know, like, here, hold on. I don't know.
So you pull it towards you.
Yeah. So, you know, normally you would push, you know, but like churning it around.
You know, I don't.
I do.
I don't. And we know what's funny. I'll tell you funny. When I first was prototyping this original Slayer with them, they sent me one with the fixed handle reversed.
Oh, really?
So, you know, the handle's like that and the tips like that. And I got it and I'm like, oh man. And my partner Jeff picked it up and he's like, ooh, that was mine. And he won't touch this one, but he loves that reversed one. And I'm like, dude, you're crazy. I don't know. I can't push like that. Some guys, I guess they can. I can't.
At MT in Vegas, I saw some guys pushing that way at the competition. I was like, what? I'm like, I've never done that. To me, it's just weird. You know, like I'll get confused. Like it's kind of like you're so used to it. You know, you push out your tools forward and then you move it, but it's the opposite. I'm like, how do you do that? Like,
were they sitting? Were they sitting like this, or were they upside down?
Yeah, they were just literally like kind of like, you know, the lower side of the door, and that's why they said they do it, because when you're in that position, it's easier to twist it the other way versus the other direction, because then you're closer or further. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's weird.
Sometimes I feel like depending on where the dent is in the door, you know, you've got the window that moves more towards the front. So sometimes I'll do that and I get more leverage. You know what I mean? You're getting the more leverage on the tool. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't think I do that.
I mean, I don't. A lot of people I see that, but there's a few guys out there who work that. I mean, Ryan says he does it. It's weird, man.
I think the only time I would do that is if I was like, you know, had the tool in upside down, you know, hooking it in a brace.
Yeah.
You know, then I mean, I don't see why I would do that. I mean, I understand why guys do it. I don't see why I can't see myself setting my tool up that way to do it.
You're gonna have to try it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll try it tomorrow. Yeah.
So obviously they can get all these tools at A1.
Yeah, all these are manufactured by the team at A1. So, and everything should have a bendable shaft, except for the original one. That's super stiff. It's made to be stiff, not bendable. You know, they heat treat it here, so it's all tempered here, but here it's made to be bendable. So that comes with that's the XXL. So I don't have one of those here. The XXL is longer. Is a longer version of the XL, and it has the longer toe on it. So for getting down deeper, even in the doors, guys are asking for that.
It would work really well in an Explorer door.
Absolutely.
To where you go down and it's got that wide body line down low, or an MDX, to where that foot would really get the bottom of it. I could have used it today.
Yes. So it's extra long and it has the extra long toe on it. So, but yeah, all these are at A1. They should all be on the website now. I know they were the other day. I don't know how many they have, if they still have them in stock, but I know that they are all live. I did a little screenshot of the app and put it on my Instagram where you can go through it. They're all up there. It's really cool. You know, I want to kind of go into this briefly, if I could. I saw, you know, John Vidine had his video he did the other day, his response to people kind of questioning him and why he, you know, they're talking about his tabs breaking and that he designed it that way, just, you know, to make money off of the backs of technicians and stuff like that. And as ridiculous as it is, I mean, I know that people have questions about why technicians, the motives behind getting into tools or whatever you're doing. You know, man, my motives into doing what I do, I'm under no illusion that I'm going to get rich making, you know, making and selling tools. That's never going to happen. And I enjoy. I started into this industry when I was 21 years old. I'm 45. This is my life contribution to society as a dent guy. And I just I'm not going anywhere. I don't have any backup side hustle that I'm going to be doing at some point. And like, I'm a dent guy, and I'm probably going to have some crossed up dent tools on my tombstone at some point. You know what I mean? But like, I do it because I love this industry, and I eat, sleep, and breathe this industry and tools. And I just wanted to bring something to the market that, for one, I love and I use daily. Every one of these I use daily. And I just want to share that with people and make them available for people. And I think we should celebrate, as an industry, varieties of tools, then try to demonize guys for bringing more tools to the market and say you're trying to get rich off it, or you're trying to, like.
Let me tell you, you're not getting rich off these tools.
Weird.
No, but you know, I think it's important, and I think I'm kind of happy that you said that, Matt, and that you just lay it out there, because, you know, it was funny because earlier today a client was looking at all my tools, and he was like, "Wow, all these tools," and I said, "Yeah, I love tools," and then he was like, "Who comes up with all these tools?" And I was like, technicians themselves. You know, it's just like they figure out what works better, and they want to share it out, and they'll make these tools. And this is some of the tools that I have, you know, and I believe that, you know, and the fact that you're saying that and you're clarifying that, that's awesome, man, because that's the reason why I have the tools that I have, because I know that there's a technician out there who's designed them so that it could work. It could make our jobs easier. You know what I mean? And I choose to think that way, and not to think of like, just, you know, they were just trying to make money out of me, so I bought this tool, you know, or anything like that. You know what I mean?
I remember, Manny, I would literally drive around to different bicycle shops here in Jacksonville trying to find kickstands, like for sale, like at bike parts, that I could pull the end cap off. And because they had these really hard little rubber caps that you couldn't push through, on like a chair tip, or, you know, something that you're pushing and you pop through, bicycle kickstand ones are really dense, and meaning we had to invent tools. We were driving around finding. I mean, I have tons of knockdowns I've showed. I've got deer antler knockdowns, and I literally would get pencil sharpeners and wood dowels and make knockdowns out of on a pencil sharpener and use those until they mushroomed out and throw them away and make more or just sharpen it. Like literally, like that was what we did. And trunk rods but and even guys before me for that. I mean, I know, I got into the industry in 98. So even, if you go back another 10 years, there was the guys who trained me had been doing it 10 years. So where did they get their stuff? Where did those develop?
Yeah.
If you would imagine, guys in the woods cutting a path with a machete, and then after the brush is cleared, then they come in and they pound the path down, and then eventually they pour down a concrete slab, and then eventually they widen it and make it a road. And that's what you guys have available now is a wide freeway of tool availability, anything under the sun that you want to push with, tap with, hammer with. Like pick what you want. You got cheap, you got expensive, you got whatever you want available. You got YouTube videos of how to do dents. You got everything at your disposal now.
Yep.
And years ago, that was not the case. There was no internet for dent guys. There was no tip configure, there wasn't. We had to make a lot of this stuff. And so,
and I think a lot of it, like, I'm not getting finished. I don't want to cut you off.
I was going to say, now you're seeing some of those things come full force to where, and this is a new take on an old classic. This isn't anything new. I'm not trying to say this is a new design. This is an old 25-year-old design that is in my hand that I'm just trying to say, hey man, try this and see if it works for you.
Yeah.
It works for me for my entire career.
That's awesome.
And I think a lot of it, and you touched on it earlier, just like me with the shut-ups. It was a tool that I had an idea for, and I took another tool and I bent it all up, and I started using it, and I was like, okay, well, if this was ratcheted handle, little thicker, stainless, sent it out to Blem, went through the process. This isn't a first run. You know what I mean? Like these take 2 or 3 or 4 adjustments before it becomes some of these, not just saying your tools, but some of these tools take some runs. But I think a lot of it is just all of us have idea on a tool to where if this was just bent just a little more, I think it would work really well. You reach out, you get the tool made, and then the tool manufacturer says, why don't you bring it to market? Like, this is a really good tool. Bring it to market. So, I think we're all very lucky that we have manufacturers that allow us to do that, and I don't think it's always about making the money, because at the end of the day, Matt Boyette is making 13 cents off this tool when he sells it. You know what I mean? It's not about the money. He wanted the tool for himself, and then he brought it to market because there's people like me that absolutely love the short dent slayer. So,
and not just, sorry, Ryan.
You're fine.
No, I was going to say, and not just that, but I mean, think about just, you having that tool for your own self on its own. Like that's you, that's your tool. Like you could have not shared it with all of us. Like, you could have just kept that on your own. That's what makes you, but instead it's like, you're not holding back. It's just like, let's put it out there. Let's sell it. It's not always about the money, but it's just, it's what you've learned, your knowledge. And, at the end of the day, it's like, what do you do with that knowledge? And it's just like, you share it, you put it out, you give it out. And that's what you're doing with your tools, So I definitely give you the respect. And
that's the same with the skills, right? I mean, that's the same with some of the workshops. We're just sharing knowledge, right? I mean, we could all sit back in our own little cities and suburbs and say, don't share.
We did. We did.
Back to that, right? And just say, nope.
Back in the day, we were all hidden.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all just sharing knowledge, sharing information. And that's all this is an extension of knowledge in a tangible form for me. This is what's worked for me. Hopefully it works for you.
Yeah.
I don't want people to get sideways going back to like John Vidina stuff, I hate it when people get sideways and thinking that that there's other motives involved. Maybe for some guys there is. I'm not speaking to everybody's motives. I don't know those.
Right.
You know mine. We all saw John's, right? He did his video, which was, I mean, I couldn't stop watching it.
I didn't watch it. I didn't see it.
I watched it. I couldn't get off it. I mean, he was pouring his heart out. And
when was that?
But Matt, the thing is that there's always going to be people like that. That's just the will of life, that you have a decision to think one way of it or to think the other way of it. You know, you're always going to have that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's part of being in business, you know, and like when you're a good, you know, technician and you make your own tools, there's going to be a lot more people coming at you. You know what I mean? And I'll give you a quick example. It's just like the stuff that I post on TikTok. You know, when I have just the few, let's say 100 people watching it, everyone's like, yeah, thumbs up, great job. But when you get the thousands of people watching you, you're going to get people that are like, nah, you suck. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's just, it comes with that. You know what I mean? So, Matt, all I could say, man, just like, don't worry about it, brother. As long as you in your heart, you know the reason why you're putting out these tools for, let people talk and say whatever they want to say, you know?
And I'm not trying to paint a bad picture here. I haven't got any, I've had a few little weird comments that you're like, what? but for the most part, I mean, you got to have thick skin in this industry. I know. And I'm not trying to, you know, play the little violin for me. All I'm saying is that I just wanted to come out of the gate saying that this is why I brought this tool. Yep. Man, if it works for you, Manny, use it. If it doesn't, don't buy it. I don't want you to buy a tool that hangs on your wall don't use. like just more tool availability. And guess what? Yep. The more tools that come available, the more we collectively can push this industry a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further.
Yep.
And it's an organic growth from technicians that come up with a cool little idea and say, hey man, we should make this. And then it makes your job so much easier. You know, whether or not it's a John Vidina with a Dent Reaper, whether or not it's James Lee with an Elimident light board that he throws up. Who remembers that video?
Yes.
You remember that video?
I do. Yeah. Then he drives over with his Transit.
Okay. Can you pause 1 second? Pause 1 second. I want to grab something 1 second. Hold on.
I don't have a pause button. Well, I got a mute button.
Pause.
What's up, Manny? I missed you this week. We haven't talked all week.
I know, man. You just been busy.
I call, you don't answer. It's like a bad breakup.
Oh, I forgot.
It's starting to hurt my feelings.
Oh man, sorry.
How was your week?
It's been long. You know, typically I'm off Sunday and Monday, but I've been here. It's just like, just living, man.
Okay.
I remember that. I still have one of those.
This is what I was using.
Wow.
So this is how I used to fix dents. Before I had the lines, I used to use this grid pattern.
Wow. You actually fixed dents with that?
15 years, man.
I've never seen that light.
Yeah. So anyhow, I'm off it. I don't fix dents with it now. But what I'm saying
is that the cigarette lighter or the gator clips?
Well, this was a gator clip, but I cut it off. But I want to show you something. This is a plexiglass lens that's that thick, and then this is the I rewired this with some LEDs. It used to be literal light bulbs.
Yes, little fluorescent bulbs.
That's great.
I still have it.
I rebuilt this to be LED, and it's got this really cool color changing thing that you can change them. Anyhow, I was using this when I saw that video of him with his light board, throw it in the air, land on the ground, and drive over it with his Harley.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, look what I've got.
And that light would fall off, and that lens would just explode.
Crack.
Yes.
Or the bulbs would fall out. And it was a fluorescent bulb. Like in my light fixtures, it was that bulb that was in here. And they'd break, and you got to have extra bulbs in your kit.
That's all we had, though.
You know what's funny? I had this client reached out to me. He said that about like 20 years ago, he tried to get into PDR and didn't work. And he has all this great tools and all this great equipment that, you know, he wants to see if he could sell to me. And then he sends me a picture of all this old tools. I'm like, nah. I'm like, you should see the tools that I have now. A lot, you know, but my respects to all those old school tools, you know, but it's funny though that, you know, you brought that light out and it's just like you would think of it now with all the options. You're like, nah. But back then, like you were saying, that's all you had.
That's all we had. I had a piece of plexiglass or Lexan with a spray painted line down the center of it.
Yeah.
That's what we used. And then the Eliminate came out and I was like, holy crap, this is like HD television. Like, ping, you're like, oh my God.
And I've never heard his story or about that, how that came to be, but I imagine he's just a technician like you or I who had a special skill set in doing things like that and just ran with it and made a light board that I can literally say has probably changed every technician.
Oh yeah, that was
the planet's life.
That was a game changer, I think, for the industry.
I remember
I came right at that time too. So
one of the first MTEs I went to, maybe not the first, but it was one of the earlier MTEs I went to. I remember sitting in one of Bill Hewlett's classes on lights because Bill was the light guy and he created this fade, and hearing him talk about this, you're looking for this sunrise, and Bill's got this voice. If you ever heard Bill talk, he's got this like warm, like cup of coffee voice that he was talking about this light fade on his light. And, you know, Bill Hewlett helped change the face of PDR lights, in my opinion, at least with LEDs. And, you know, those guys, they all started as technicians who just had a passion for bringing a product to market, building it themselves, and then bringing a product to market that we all use daily. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't go back to using that. We tried hooking it up in here and put it on a car, and you're like, what the heck is this? I got normal, you know, boards with non-lit stuff that I set up, and I'll put like behind my board, and I'll kind of try to go back and forth, and I'm like, how did I fix dents with this? I don't know how.
Yeah.
But
so actually, I'll show you something funny that you'll appreciate, Matt. Hold on. Pause that. Pause that.
We're paused. But for me, like, what is so fun about this is that pursuit, right? Like we're all pursuing the best door tool or the best liar.
This is what we used to fix cars.
Wow.
Spray painted line.
This is what we used. Spray painted line. Lock line would go on here. Technology, my friend. You guys are so freaking lucky.
And you know what?
And that board would fall and the corner would bust off of it. You put a little piece of tape on there. By the end, the board would start to get smaller and smaller and smaller.
So much tape.
Now, Matt, I did want to get into, do you have your pack out cart near?
No, I don't. It's it's packed out. No, it's all put away. But, you know, if you want to talk about that briefly.
Yeah.
I don't want to claim anything unique to that. That to me is, I took two really cool products, which is Chad Peters and Todd's 2MB1, those mod rails. I saw those as soon as I got my hands on those mod rails, my brain lit up. Probably like James Lee's did when he saw it as light board, right? Or my brain lit up with the mod rails, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And we had the early versions of the pack out, and I'm all on I'm not just on the dent tools, I'm on the construction tool, Instagram stuff tool. And so I always see what's coming down the pipe and those guys. And as soon as I saw those pack out drawers coming, I'm like, that's it. That is it. And I ordered those like 6 months before they released. And so anyhow, as soon as we got those, and I was telling Chad, I'm like, dude, this is it, man. This is it. If we can get these pack outs with your mod rails, And so all I tried to do was take two existing really cool products, which was the pack out drawers and the mod rails, and just find a way to unify those two things together to make a really cool tool cart.
That's so cool.
I wish I had. I'm gonna get I'll show you. I'll send you a picture. I have this original. So when I first started, when my boss gave me this dent slayer tool, he also brought me a piece of luggage like that you would roll through the airport, like, and it has the wheels. You tip it back, and we would drill holes through the top. We'd stick our whole tools through that, and the front pocket, the big one at the bottom was for your window guard, and the small one on the top was for your knockdowns and your tappers and little hand tools. And
that is crazy.
That's what I would run my accounts with. At some point, I built a diamond plate version of that with big dolly like pneumatic tires on it, and it's all diamond plate. And I hand built all the pockets and out of metal. So I'll give you a cool little video, or I'll try to find that cart. I still got it. But so I've always been about like how the things we use to do our job, right? Like tool carts or whatever, because you got to carry these tools from car to car, or from job to job, or country to country, or whatever that is. And so I've always had these little tool platforms that I've always messed with. And then when I got with Bill, we had the Pro PDR cart, the TC5 that I made. That was just awesome. And so I've always been kind of pursuing this platform that we work off of. And as soon as I saw the Milwaukee pack out, I just knew, like, okay, this thing's going to be really close to me. Like, for me, it's almost pinnacle of like what you can make for what we do, because it has to be versatile. And so with that pack out, it's supposed to be versatile. It's supposed to be, I've done hail in multiple countries. I've done the production hail. I've done the body shop hail. I've done the mobiles to people's driveways. I do retail shops. I do I've done it all. And so for me, when I look at a system, like, I'm not just a production hail guy. I'm not just a body shop hail guy. I'm not just a retail guy, or, or a wholesale guy. You see these guys run around the auctions that got a handful of tools, and that's all that they need.
Yeah.
And then you got guys who got a fully, 6 foot long TDN cart with everything known to man. And so I'm looking at what's a good platform for me now that I'm doing my own business and I have multiple services that I provide. So that pack out is really a versatile system. It gives you the drawers in the middle. It gives you the mod rails, and it just works. So all I did was marry those two things together. I don't claim anything unique about that other than just fitting them together.
And but if anyone's not tried the mod rail, it's changed. And Chad said it back in the day. He said, this is going to change how you work. And I was like, get out of here. There's no way. And it did. The efficiency that I have at the shop with that cart and the mod rails, I'm faster. I'm cleaner. I can grab, I can literally sit on the floor to fix a dent, and I know where I'm grabbing and what I'm grabbing. And it's easy. It's on, off, boom, 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 boom. You're not fighting, putting it through a hole. You're not pulling it out. It's all, it's a double bend and you're fighting it. This thing is straight off. Soon as those like foams get like not worn in, but like where you need them, and they start to get a little wear, I'm telling you, that mod rail is
what people aren't talking about, where I think the mod rail doesn't get the recognition that it should deserve. Like, all these tools now have these crazy bends. I mean, if you just look at the stand liner lineup, like, nothing's straight. Nothing's like just a right angle. Like, everything's got this crazy bends and, so when you imagine, or even just big, if you look at some of the big fender tools they got with the dollies on the ends and stuff, like, that ain't going in any hole. And if you do get it in a hole, it ain't coming out easy. You know what I mean? So to just think, on that plane of, we just drill a hole in it and put our tool through it. That's kind of an archaic way of thinking, meaning you're not evolving that with the tools that are evolving. Those stain liner tools won't fit on a tool cart correctly with the whole system.
No.
With Chad's system, they will. Any one of those will hang on the mod rails, and so they've really changed the game with the tools. They've evolved with the tool stuff, and I don't know if guys have really pieced that or put that together. So it's kind of mind blowing to me, but it just makes sense with the tools are going. It answers the question of the tool.
Yeah. Yeah. I was laughing because what Ryan was saying, that like sometimes you're in position, you want to grab the next tool, but it's like you can't get it up. That's me. I'm working on a fender. I'm down, and I know my next tool that I want to grab that because.
And you're like,
how mine's set up. God, I gotta get it. I gotta, I'm bent myself to finally get it, and then go back to that position. It's like, I hate that sometimes.
Do you own a mod rail?
No, I am sad.
Have you ever put a tool in or out of a mod rail?
Honestly, no, I have not. I have not touched it and done anything with that.
I do think
it wasn't at MTE for some reason. I didn't see it.
They didn't have a booth.
They didn't come this year.
Are they going
to Vegas?
Orlando. They're going to be in Orlando.
They should be.
As far as I know. And he will be at Matt Moore's.
Oh, okay.
So, but I think if you do have a question in your head about the mod rail, is it work for me or is it not work for me? I think once you put a tool in and out of it, it'll really, cauterize that in your head. I think you'll be like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
I'm gonna put something out there. I did this before with another one of Chad's tools. If you buy a mod rail and you think it's worthless and you don't think it doesn't work for you, I'll buy it back from you. No questions asked. And the only reason I say that, the same thing I did with the crown jewel, because I believe in it. And
absolutely,
it's really, really good. I mean, like I said, if you're unhappy with it, you buy it, send me a message. My wife's going to hate me, but I'll buy everyone back without any questions asked. But I know I'm not going to, because I'm telling you, Manny, literally today, and the reason I said that with the fender was I was working on a busted Civic fender that I've fixed the same fender 3 times. And I needed another tool. I was sitting on the floor and I just grabbed, and I was already there.
I'm telling you, that's how I was
instead
laughing.
of this, instead of reaching out of the hole,
me.
I was literally pluck it off, put it back, pluck another one off. Tools aren't all over the floor. Like it's literally thoughtless when you are pulling off of that mod rail, pushing and putting it back. You don't even have to really look. It just goes.
Yep.
So
I hope my wife is watching so that she could see that I just don't come up with tools that I got to buy.
It's Ryan's fault. Blame it on me.
No, there's a need, it's just, it's involving to, make things easier and better. You know what I mean? And I'm just laughing.
Helping the body, Manny. Helping the body.
I am telling you that's the reason why I keep laughing, because every single time I hate myself having to get up because I cannot slide that tool out of that little tight hole, and it's just like, and you're truly right. If you could just, grab it and slide it in,
all right. Can we get honest here? Like real honest.
I've been honest.
I hope you've been honest.
Not that you haven't, but let's get a little more. So the amount of money that I don't care what you do, if you're hail or if you're a retail, if you're a wholesale guy, the amount of money that, if you're a dent technician in America, the amount of money that you make compared to other trades and the amount of money that you have invested in tools that you spend to make that money. I mean, dude, it takes you, if I lost all my tools, if they all fall off the side of a boat right now and I had to replace, I had to buy a bunch of tools in order to do my job, for me to do that compared to a mechanic, that's a fraction.
Yeah.
That's such a small amount compared to what I can make versus what some of those mechanics make.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like the buy-in to be a PDR tech, we all, whine and cry about, some stuff and the pricing and stuff, but you walk into the service department and you look at mechanics, a toolbox that's $40,000 for a toolbox. And then fill the toolbox. My partner just got a Snap-on box that's over my head. I can't see in it. And I said, that's great. Now you got to fill the stupid thing. Like,
yeah, I mean, look at
now
this.
the real cost incurs.
I mean, this is $3,500.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
comparatively to what you make in this industry, compared to what you have to spend in order to do that, is insane. And dent guys are the biggest complainers and the biggest whiners when it comes to spending money to do their job. It's ridiculous. Like, I come from the school of, listen, man, I'm an old school tech, and I think I can do. I was just talking to Chad about this. I could walk into Home Depot right now with no tools and find something and come out and fix a dent on a car with crap out of Home Depot. I know I could do that. And I think you have to have that as a technician. You got that resourcefulness. So I appreciate that old school. I can fix it with what I got. But I also come from the new school of, man, buy what's out there that you don't have to drive around looking for a kickstand thing.
yeah.
Like, they got it. So just buy it. Like, support the industry, support yourself, and invest in yourself and do what you need to do your job. Like, it's not that hard. So I appreciate both sides of it, but I just think that the guys who don't want to get on board, I just think that those guys should phase out. I just think, maybe that's a little harsh, but
yeah,
I know guys. I literally know dent technicians in this city who do not own a hot glue gun.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Like, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And
They're not fixing real dents then.
well, I mean, I don't know what I'm not trying to, but that type of mentality in my brain says you need to go away. You're bad for the industry. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna go be your dinosaur.
You're not evolving.
And not evolve. And the war of attrition, I'm just gonna wait you out. And one day you're gonna be irrelevant to this industry, and I'm gonna absorb your spot in it.
And I had that conversation. There was a local guy here. He's been doing it, I don't know, 10 years or whatever. And he had the most antiquated. He rolled out the Home Depot fluorescent light with the tubes and the extension cord on a wheel dolly, and he would roll it up. He had like a full-size umbrella straight from out back, and he used some really old stuff. And I sat with him, and I'm like, look, dude, there's so much more out here. Like, I was like, come over here. Come over. And I pop open my mobile tech shade, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's got a suction cup on it. So then we kept talking. I'd show him the Eliminant light, and he's my competitor, A couple years later, I see him at MT. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm checking out all these tools. And I'm like, thank God. I see him the next year. He's got a mobile tech shade. He's got a Eliminant light hanging. He's using some ratchet handle tools. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. But it's exactly what you're very right. If you're not evolving, for one, you're drilling a lot more holes in cars than you need to. Because a lot of this stuff you're just not fixing without glue. So.
But I think a lot of that has to come from like within like you have to have that personality that you can step out the box. I have a question for you, Matt. You sound like you've always been like a craftsmanship type of guy. Like, where did that come from? Like, was it growing up, mom, dad, cousin, uncle? Really?
Not poor, but not well off. I mean, you got to, building a bicycle, when you didn't get a new bicycle over Christmas, you got an old bicycle, and you're out there, scrubbing the chain and gasoline and pulling the bearings out and rebuilding stuff. My first car was a Volkswagen Beetle that I would have to have my girlfriend help me push start it to go to work sometimes, like just because like growing up with having to work on stuff, like having to be resourceful, having to like not just having things handed to me, but you got to do that thing in order to have a certain quality of life, right? And so I'm really thankful for that, man. Like
that's awesome.
Like, I think it's very easy to get thankful the other way, like where you didn't have to do any of that, but you lose out so much in that, because you know what happened? My first car, I was 16, it was Volkswagen, and they ran half the time. Is Friday night, you know what I did? I'd be hanging out in my driveway with other friends who had Volkswagens, and we're working on our Volkswagens together. Instead of getting into trouble, we're hanging out. And so then we started a Volkswagen club. And then now we didn't even want to go party. All we care about is working on our Volkswagens. And so it's like, so it's such a, I don't know, to me, a better way, because you're
a grinder.
Saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime. That to me, you gain so much more for having to be resourceful and having to do those type of things, So I'm fully thankful for that.
That's awesome. You grew up in Florida your whole life, or where were you?
Right here, born and raised. I went to school about a mile from where I'm at right now, high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
One quick story I want to say about buying tools and stuff, like we were kind of talking about, is my first trip. I went to Australia. I'd never been. I didn't know what to expect, and I get put in a shed. They call them sheds. I got put in a shed. I'm with 40 guys in a shed, 40 technicians, and lots of other admin staff and dozen R&I guys and stuff. And showed up on a Friday, unloading tools, and we got to start work on Monday. So Friday afternoon, they have a meeting, and they bring us all in and sit us down. And I never met the management. I had no idea what I was getting into. I literally just got off a plane, set up my tools, and the managers are looking around, and they're seeing guys making the 2x4 hood stands and stuff, and trash can tool carts. And they called a meeting and said, listen, guys, like, here's the deal. We flew you guys from other sides of the world to be here in this building. You're going to make probably more money than you ever made in your life in that bay. There's lots of other guys who want to be in that bay. There's only 40 of you here. There's probably other guys who would love to have that opportunity that you have. We brought you here because you're professionals. You're the best of what you do. We believe that. So you need to act like it. And they said, I don't want to see 2x4 hood stands. I don't want to see trash can tool carts. They said, it's Friday afternoon. You have till Monday. And I want every one of you to have at least $10,000 worth of tools in your bays, or just pack them up. And I'll bring someone else in here who will appreciate that spot. And invest in yourself, because we're professionals at what we do. I mean, you're not seeing professional athletes in any other arena play with, I just, these are my old, I cut grass in these shoes, and I like to run track in them too, and play football. You know what I mean? Like, it just works. I've had this, and it just works. I mean, dent guys come up with the most lazy excuses for not having to buy something. It's really sad, but we're professionals. We ask for all the money. You can read the social medias about guys complaining because they don't get X amount markup on this dent, and they're not going to touch it if they don't, but yet they want to complain when they have to buy a tool that costs them a little bit of money. And it's really sad, man. I come from, have the old school knowledge. You can fix a dent with anything.
Yeah.
But have the new school approach to buy the stuff that makes you better and act like you're a professional. You don't have to fix a dent with a screwdriver. You can, but you don't have to, right?
A lot of our business is image. And I've said this before. When you look professional and you ask for that high dollar repair, you don't get as much pushback. Okay. When you drive up in your Prius and it's got tools and you open up the back and shit's falling out, or you roll up in a truck that's logoed, everything's organized when you lay your tailgate down. Or a perfect example, when they come in my shop, I don't have a waiting room. They come in, they see a nice tool cart, all the tools are laid out and orderly. I think they feel more at ease than the 2x4 hood stand or the, trash can tool cart. I think we're asking a premium every day for what we do. Doesn't matter if you do wholesale, doesn't matter if you do retail, doesn't matter if you do body shop. We're asking for a premium. Act like it. The guys all want the Snap-on toolboxes. There's a reason.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It isn't because they want to spend 40 grand on the toolbox. It's because it's their image and it's their way of, showing that they take pride.
Absolutely. And if you go get your nice high-end car worked on and you show up and some guys just got this, 30-year-old junky, greasy, nasty tools that are spread all over the place, you're going to let him work on your car versus the guy who has invested in himself. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just because, some of those are the best technicians ever. I understand that. I'm not saying that. We're not talking about ability. We're talking about, if you do have that ability, reinvest that back into yourself and into your trade to show people that you have that ability, right? That's all we're saying.
Exactly. You don't, I truly feel on the sales end, it's easier to close the deal when you show that professionalism.
Yeah.
My neighbor would always come to me and be like, man, your cars are always clean. He's like, I drive past your house every day. And I'm like, how the hell? And I said, you know why? Because when I pull into this guy's multi-million-dollar garage to fix he's got $10 million in the garage of his own cars. When the car is filthy, he's already has a different thought of me right off the bat. It doesn't matter how great of a technician I am. It's the same thing with your shirts. You've got a big stain on the front of your shirt, or your hat's so sweated through, it's got multiple lines. Your first line of defense is you.
Yeah.
That's their first thought. So, I hate to say it, but it's about your image.
I had a client that, walked in the shop and he looked around and he's like, I got no questions for you. I think you're the guy to fix my dent. And I said, why? And then we got into that conversation. He says, well, I could see how everything's organized and how you keep clean. And I was looking for a paper that he gave me a quote that I can't remember exactly if it went like this, but it was just like it basically was like how you take care of your shop, how you take care of you is how you do everything. It's not the exact how he said it. I was looking for that quote, but basically just said how you take care of your own stuff tells me is how you're going to take care of my car and how you're going to perform your work, and it goes, a long way to, what we're talking about is just the more you invest in yourself, that means that you're reaching for the highest of your own self, of your quality. And with that comes with better pricing and better clients and things like that. I've always said just the one investment you can't go wrong with, it's on your own self. So how Matt was saying is just you could look at tools that's an expense for either good or bad, but it's just at the end of the day, you're investing it for your own self. And that's only going to make you a better technician, a better business owner, better family man. You know what I mean? It goes a long way. It goes a long, long way. I just need you to explain that to my wife.
Well, and I do think those technicians, the ones we're talking about who aren't reinvesting in themselves, it's a shame because I think it's this chicken and the egg mentality, right? What come first? I think that if they were reinvesting in themselves, they would be so much more next level. You're holding yourself back. Just think from an organizational standpoint. I've worked where I've thrown my tools on the ground. I've told you about a second ago where we're throwing tools on the ground, but now I don't. Now everything goes right back in its spot. and I work so much better that way. And I'm like, I'm such a better technician working that way, clean, organized, reinvesting in myself. And those guys who aren't, I think that they're only hurting themselves. They would be so much more better, faster, cleaner repairs.
Yes.
Like when you walk into, and it doesn't have to be a shop, man. Like forget a shop. Who cares about that? It can just be your tool cart, the back of your truck,
Your van.
Your
Yeah.
van.
Yep.
Like when you open that up in the morning and it's clean and it's nice and it's state-of-the-art tools and it's the right equipment to do the job. And when it's something about it to me, like you're gonna start your day better. You're gonna push better. You're gonna probably make more money. You're gonna value yourself a little bit more than if you're just that guy who's hasn't changed in 20 years. You're the dinosaur. Everything's old. Nothing's new. You haven't evolved. You're not gonna be living up to your full potential in that setting.
Yeah.
You're not going to do as cleaner repairs. You're not going to get the money that you want. You're only hurting yourself, I believe.
Yeah.
I agree.
Matt, where can they find those pack out carts?
Well, if they want to see them, they can go onto the Mod Rail group. I also posted a video onto the PDR Tool Time group. Hudson tagged me in something and I posted a video, but I've showed them on the 2MB1 Mod Rail Insight group. If you're interested, you can reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram, and I can send you more details on how I can either help you make one. I can just tell you how I'm doing it, or I can do it for you.
What is the price on that thing? Because I wasn't sure. I know that the actual cart itself is, a couple $100 plus the mod rails and foam.
So the bottom roller is like $80. Each drawer part, it's a 2 or 3 drawer. They're about $150 each, depending on where you get them and if they're 2 or 3 drawer. So $150 each. The top section that I'm building, that I'm marrying with the mod rails, is about $65. And then the mod rails add up to about $400 worth of mod rails, $500 worth of mod rails by the time you do the foam. So I'm doing just the top trays. Right now they're around $700 just for the top tray. And that's paying me minimum just to put them together. Like I'm literally just taking the receipts from what I bought and handing them to you and then paying me a little bit to put together and ship it to you. So that's just the cost of the materials. That's not me. So,
Awesome.
So it's about $700 just for the top. So for that whole tower that I got, you're at almost you're a grand, $1,100.
Cool.
But I will have, so in kind of closing here, I should have 2 of them. We're going to Matt Moore's. I'm going to have 2 of those carts that we're going to take and we're going to set up and we're going to have a good amount of dent slayers, all the versions. As long as nothing gets caught in the mail, I should have everything, all the versions of the dent slayers. We're going to have them on the mod rails. So if you want to look at a dent slayer, you got to come pull it out of a mod rail, feel how it comes out of a mod rail.
That's cool.
And so, we'll be at Matt Moore's for that. There's about 4 of us going up there from our team here. We're going to go up there and hang out and have a good time, try to sell some dent slayers tools, and then also show the benefit of the mod rails married with the Milwaukee pack out. And I know Chad's going to have a lot of his stuff there too, his designated tool carts that he's made. So I can't wait for that show, man. We're all pumped about it. I can't get here soon enough.
Well, Matt, I appreciate you coming on, man. Going through your slayers. I know with having Maria on last week, it just worked out really well. That's it. How can people find you?
They can find my tools on A1's website, pdrtool.com. They can find me on @thedentslayer is my Instagram, or Matt Boyette on Facebook.
That's
Or you
it.
can come to Jacksonville and Google my business, which is All Out Paintless.
Or go to Matt Morris.
Or go to Matt, or you can find me there next Saturday. We're driving up Friday after work, get a hotel, hang out all day Saturday. We're gonna try to party all night Saturday night, and then drive back Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Matt, well, I appreciate you coming on, bud.
Appreciate you guys having me and the opportunity to tell the dent community about what's going on with the tools and the carts and stuff. That's always a pleasure. I love talking dents and tools stuff. So
seriously, thank you for sharing your tools and bringing them out, to the world. I mean, to all of us,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for that.
Not a problem.
Mr. Boyette, you have a fantastic night. Go get some dinner, and I'm sure I'll talk to you.
All right. I appreciate you guys.
See you, Matt.
buddy.
Not just YouTube, but the rest of the guys watching. Love you guys.
See ya.
Later.
Later, Matt.
Good old Boyette, man. Let me tell
Matt's
you.
so cool, man.
He is. He's a good dude.
It was cool to listening to, him growing up, where his craftsmanship comes from, because everyone has a story,
We do.
Everyone has a story. That's awesome.
I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Glad you made it.
I had the client with the Mercedes picking up as soon as I got here. And then he was just so happy. He just kept talking about how happy he was. He was just like, come on, I've heard this before. Let's go. But I was just playing with that. I was just like, just let him be.
I was gonna literally give you props right off the bat of the show, but you were running late. But man, you did a really good job on that repair.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Did a nice job. And that color is so hard. It's a tough color.
Yeah. Shout outs to Chris, because I started that job last night and I glue pulled 80% of it. And in the beginning, I just couldn't get that glue to stick, and it was because it had ceramic. And typically on any car, you just buff it out, you're good, But it was matte. It was just like,
What'd you use?
I ended up using acetone.
Got another trick for you for that.
What's that?
Stoner makes a thing called Tarminator. Okay. If you put Tarminator on there, it'll remove the ceramic without damaging flat paint.
Really?
Yeah, it's called from Stoner, called Tarminator. Smells terrible, but it works really, really well for that. I've had some cars that literally glue would not stick. It was like the car had static electricity on it. You know what I mean? It was like, so much. And I tried it one day. We had a can at the shop because we use it for like taking glue off of cars. And I sprayed it on a towel and I wiped it. And I sprayed it on a towel and I wiped it. Stuck the tab on it. It was like, I was like, yeah, really? Wow.
Oh, man.
So, but on matte paint, it works really, really well.
See, I was so scared at the beginning. I was trying the alcohol and it wasn't coming off. I was getting so desperate. I was thinking of polishing the thing.
That would have been bad.
Yeah. And so I decided to call Chris and I was like, Chris, you do the ceramic stuff. What can I use? And he was just like, man, just be very careful. Be very careful. He says, but you could try the acetone, and then I was on the phone with him. I wiped it down a few times and yeah, sure enough, it started pulling. So luckily I was able to pull most of it and came out great. I did wanted to show you. Did you see this thing?
Bro, me and Ashley were looking at that last night. I was like, what in the hell is this guy making soup? What is this, queso over there?
This is what is that plate that they call?
Hot plate.
Queso fundido.
Yes.
So it's just a bowl, and basically whatever this bowl material is gets really hot, and literally just makes a glue soup. And the reason why I got this is because last week I had a boat and I was using the large tabs. And I mean, the heat gun, I was using the battery heat gun, so you could only get so much juice out of that. But to try to put glue on that big tab and like to keep it at the same temperature was so hard.
You know,
so
what you need to get?
like,
you need to get the new trifecta from Anson.
Oh, I heard great things about that. And then that's when I was just like, wait a minute. If I just have a glue bowl, I could just literally just scoop out as much glue as I want, put it on
I
the
saw
tab.
it yesterday. Ashley's like, what in the hell is he doing? I was like, I don't even know. I was like, let me swap over. I can't even watch this anymore with this. He was like using a spatula. I was like, what in the hell?
Listen, I brought all the glue that I used that day because there were like big tabs, and literally it's all in here. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing for the industry, but I don't know. So far, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, man, it's been one of those weeks,
Yeah.
Big jobs, small jobs, different ideas.
I'm off tomorrow.
Wow, must be nice.
Tonight is the last night that I'm 43. So
look at you, man.
I made myself take the day off. So me and the wife are gonna go have some fun. And
can I get everyone else to join me? Happy birthday!
That's tomorrow. It's only 10 o'clock.
Happy birthday!
You gotta mute him. You gotta mute Manny again. Manny's muted. He's muted again. Now he's faking.
Man.
But no, yeah, dude, we've had just a crazy couple weeks, and I was like, I went on the schedule and I said, taking off.
That's good, man.
You guys can call, keep calling. I'm not answering. So, but I haven't taken time off, and I was like, it's time. So, but
everyone, please go out to Ryan's Facebook, Instagram. No. Wish him happy birthday, please.
No, don't do that.
That's good, man. Well, enjoy your days off. Your weekend. So it's the whole weekend. You're completely off.
Yep.
Well, you're not gonna be like last time. You came back Sunday.
No,
went
I'll
straight
tell you.
To the shop.
I even told Ashley. I said, if I don't know the phone number, I'm not even answering.
Yeah.
Just doing it. We're just, which is hard for me because I'm on a Saturday like, hey, how can I help you? And Ash is like, and I'm like, gotta make money.
Yeah.
They're gonna call somebody else if I don't answer.
Yeah. But also it's the peace that comes with that though, right? Just saying no and I'm not available and
Yep.
That's good, man. Well, I wish you a great happy birthday. Have fun, with the family.
Good day, kind of chill. And
are they taking you somewhere, or
we're doing? We've got some stuff planned for the day. My kid's in school, so like my mother-in-law is picking up the kid, and me and Ash don't get to spend a whole lot of time. So
that's
we'll
cool.
do some stuff for the day and kind of hang out, and it'll be good. It'll be a good day.
That's awesome, man.
So,
will you guys enjoy it?
Gonna try.
Be safe. Don't get in trouble.
That could happen.
Don't go wild like that.
That could happen. Well, I'm glad you guys were watching tonight. It was a good show. Manny, again, I love having you on. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
You guys have a fantastic night. Thanks for watching. Keep it real. Have a great weekend, Manny.
Glue ball.
Get your queso.